Hey, what's happening, everybody? Ask Jesse answer time. You ready for this week's answers? I know I am. Here we go. Question number 1 comes to us from Jane Campbell, and Jane asks, how do you remain strong in an uncomfortable situation where fairness and integrity are challenged constantly? How do you remain strong in an uncomfortable situation where fairness and integrity are challenged constantly? So, first things first, Jane, with things like fairness and integrity, we have to keep in mind a frame of reference. So my first question would be, for you, would be fairness and integrity according to whom? And if it's according to yourself, and these are things that are of high values to you, are utmost in your highest moral part of your character, then I wouldn't even look at it so much as they're challenged. I would look at it as more as an opportunity for them to be reinforced to you. You see, if these are your key values, if these are your core moral beliefs, fairness and integrity, and you find them being challenged by other people, I don't know if that's necessarily a challenge. I would say that's really your opportunity to reinforce your belief system. See, oftentimes we're put in positions in life where our belief systems, our values, our morality can be called into question. And when we're not really strong or committed or focused on what those things are, a lot of us don't know what they are, it's really easy to let them go to the wayside and say the situation was the reason why. Well, it's never really the situation, it's us. It's a choice inside of us. And that doesn't make us a good or bad person, it just means that we're not as clear on our morals and our values as we could be. So if you're in a position where you are crystal clear on your morals and your values, and you are crystal clear knowing that integrity and fairness are high priorities to you, then every time you're in a position where they're challenged, what I would say is that it's actually a wonderful opportunity for you to reinforce how committed you are to those morals and values. And if you're fully committed to them, then it's not really a challenge. It's like working out. If I go and work out, and I work out with a really heavy weight, I meet a lot of resistance with the weight. But the weight is not challenging my strength. What it's actually doing is, as I work against the weight, as I strain, it's actually reinforcing my strength. Because once I'm able to withstand that great load, I'm going to be able to know that I could lift it. And the next time I'm going to be that much stronger and that much more committed in knowing that I could lift the weight again. Make sense? Great question. Question number 2 comes to us from Lisa Welch Terrell. And Lisa asks, how do you dream bigger when you have a limited point of reference? And I asked Lisa if she was talking about a specific dream. And she was saying, for example, financial freedom, the ability to live and travel where you want. And she's saying it's hard when you have aspirations if you grow up only knowing one thing. If you grow up only knowing poverty, how are you ever supposed to dream beyond poverty? And I like this question, Lisa, because this question is one that is the dream of so many. And my suggestion to you is this. When we're surrounded by poverty or we're surrounded by what we don't have, it's really easy to focus in on those things or the lack thereof, right? And so our whole world becomes poverty, lack, and that's all we see, that's all we focus on. And when we see and we focus on things like that, our mind starts to create those pictures always as a reality. The classic example is, don't think of the pink elephant. And what do you have to do? You have to think about the pink elephant to not think about what you don't want to think about, right? So my suggestion to you is this. Instead of, if you want to dream bigger and you find yourself struggling to dream in your present circumstances, I would start studying people who once were in similar circumstances as you and see how they did it. Because I promise you they're out there. Some of my favorite people to look at, my heroes, are Arnold Schwarzenegger's, the Richard Bransons. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I just finished reading his autobiography, and it's fascinating. This guy came from a very impoverished Austria, post-World War II Austria. You know, they didn't have, they didn't have a running water and electricity, so they were still doing baths in the little circular tub. And he went on to become one of the most famous, successful people in the world. The governor of California, you know, he rose up to one of the highest political positions in the United States, was a hugely successful movie star, and has gone on to inspire millions of people, including myself, to take on fitness as a lifetime, all sorts of things. He came from nothing. And one thing he reiterates over and over and over and over again in his book is talking about how he always dreamed to go to America. He had no idea how, but he was going to get there. And when he got there, he was dirt poor and he had to work countless part-time jobs to put himself through. But the one thing that separated him from everybody else was he was willing to work. So here he is, he's competing, he's the top bodybuilder in the world at a time when bodybuilding is kind of, and it's still a little, but at that time, nobody really understood it. He's working a couple jobs. He's going to school. He's taking acting lessons. He's doing all these things because he believes in himself. Richard Branson, I think, was diagnosed dyslexic or something, and his teachers, he was actually voted by one of his teachers, I believe, as being the most unlikely to succeed. The most unlikely to succeed in his class. And he's done pretty well for himself. If you've heard of Virgin Records, Virgin this, Virgin that, Virgin Planes, that's Richard Branson. I remember reading one of his autobiographies, and he was talking about when he bought the first Virgin plane. He had no idea what the airline business was, but he thought it'd be fun. And one of his one rules of business is never go into anything unless you're going to have fun doing it. So I share these with you because if they have done it, if somebody else has done it before, then you can too. It's just about shifting your mind and focusing on what there is in front of you and focusing on what's out there. And one of the best ways to do this is to find somebody who's done it, study them, model the way they think and they feel, and do as they did, and you'll get what they got. It'll be scalable to what your dreams are. Not all of us are going to have Arnold Schwarzenegger or Richard Branson-esque dreams, but we can. And that's what's important, is we can have their level of dreams if we decide to focus our heart and our mind on those things. Okay guys, awesome questions. If you found value in this video, please share it with your friends and family. Thank you everyone for taking the time to ask the questions. Be sure to give it a little thumbs up and the little like thing below. And the Ask Jesse for this week will be posted Friday, 8 a.m. Pacific time. Fill in your questions and I will answer them next Monday around this time. I'll talk to you all then.